Hey, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a state of the market video. Today is November 12th, 2022. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security, and I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. Couple quick notes. If you haven't become a super follow yet, find me at Twitter at AlphaCharts365. You could do that there. I post on Twitter all week long as well. So again, catch me there. And again, if you have not liked and subscribed to my channel on YouTube, please go ahead and do that right now. It really does help me. I appreciate it, trying to grow this channel some. So if you just stop right now, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, even more importantly. And I really do appreciate that. Okay, so let's get into these charts. Starting with the SPX. What a week, huh? So last week, things were looking really, really rough. And this week, they literally reversed. Now, something interesting is that it was slightly lower volume than last week, but overall, I mean, it looks really good. 5.9% week. It's hard to argue with that. We still have a declining 200-day, and now we have a flattening 50-day. So the real question is, are we in something that this type of area where we're going to come up to the 200-day and then fail, or even the trend line and fail, or are we in something different? And we won't know that till after the fact, but we do know it was extremely strong week. Looking at RSP on the weekly, it was up 5.92, so basically the same as the indexes. Okay, so there's no divergence or anything like that. But what do we see that is different? The RSP overall is now above the 200-day. The 50-day is now actually going higher. Still underneath this trend line, and the 200-day, is it flattening? Maybe. Looks like it may be flattening some. So, and right into this area of potential resistance. So early next week, we're going to know a lot of information, right? Does the equal weight, which I think is really, really important here, is it going to get rejected over here at this 147, 148 area? Or, does it continue higher? Obviously, it's extended now, so a little consolidation would be fine, as long as it doesn't fail here. These moving averages, again, need to probably catch up a little bit. But overall, very, very constructive look. And the next really big test will be this trend line that has been kind of in force since, I could probably do this. I could probably make the trend line just a little bit better or something, probably more like that, right? That's the essence of the trend into this 147, 148 area. So we'll see what happens when, trend line meets overhead resistance. It's a very important spot above the 200-day. Looking good, right? Looking good. Lots of volume coming in. We like that. Looking at the Qs, again, on the weekly, we had a 8.8% on the week. I mean, just a gigantic week. Good volume coming in, right? More than prior weeks, more than since October 10th. So that all looks good there. Again, 8.8 on the week, gigantic week, big move. Back above the 50, still have the declining 200-day. But again, we didn't violate this low right here. And overall, things are looking constructive, right? It's not going to go straight up. Expect maybe a little resistance, 295-ish or so, maybe 290-ish. But it's still looking pretty good. Now let's look at the equal weights. So again, a much stronger look to the equal weights than the cap weighted, up 9.32. So a stronger percent move for the week. Now, what's interesting is that we did see a lot of trash off the bottom move, which could be why the equal weights really outperformed the cap weighted. Things of last year's leaders, which some of them may be this year's leaders, they may continue to lead, and some of them are just getting, a dead cat bounce. And we will only know that again till after the fact. Next is the 6850-ish level. That's going to be really, really important. We'll see what happens. Again, indexes are extended, right? So let's not pile in up here because it's not going to go straight up again. And we don't know if we're in this type of area right here where it's going to continue up a little bit further and then hit the 200-day and then fail, or if this is going to start to flatten out, which again, 200-day looks like it wants to start to flatten out. Going back 200 days, where are we at here? 152, 170. That's 200 days right there, right? So as we are getting rid of this data over the next 2 weeks or so, and if prices get above the 200-day, we're going to start to see it really start to flatten out and hopefully maybe make the right side of a gigantic base, again, on the equal weights. But the Qs, again, not quite as strong, but this could be the left side of a base. Maybe this is the bottom, and then maybe the right side. That is a possibility, right? Again, we have to just play the chart we have, and right now, that makes sense to me with 294. I'm sorry, 254. That's the most important pivot at this point right now. And actually, I would probably even say 260, right? You don't want to violate this one, the higher low. So that's what we got there. Let's look at IWM. IWM already above the 200-day. Love that, right? On the week, it was up 4.6%. Again, not quite as good as the other indexes, but it's above the 200-day. So it's definitely stronger. Now, it's going to make or break this pattern. Is this a head and shoulders topping pattern? And did it just, some selling into this overhead supply, and is it going to roll over? Or was this the double bottom, right? We've been talking about this now 3 or 4 weeks, is what is this going to make? A head and shoulders top or a double bottom? And we're going to find out next week probably, right? Because if it gets into this, above 191-ish, I'm going to err on the bullish right side of a base. If it rolls over, I'm going to err on the head and shoulders, right? Again, are we in this area again, or are we going to just rip higher? We don't know the answer to that yet. But overall, constructive action. It's above the 200-day. 200-day is flattening, which is something that it was not doing here, but it is flattening here. That's definitely a positive, right? If it can pull back and then move higher, that would probably, a small pullback into the moving averages and then break out, right? That's what we would love to see. So this is not the buy area right here on if you're buying indexes, right? It's too far extended. It's pull back and then higher. All right. So that was IWM. Let's just look at the mid caps. Mid caps, strongest of all the indexes and has been already well above the 200-day. It was up 5.26 for the week. And again, but it is back into this supply area, which we have identified, very extended. This one would be perfect if it came back into the 200 and then that held higher. So that's exactly what we want to see. See how it's flattening right there? Let it come back. Let it come into the 200. Going back 200 days. That's exciting stuff, right? Going back 200 days is right about here. So again, as over the next few weeks, as we get rid of this data and we start to get price hopefully staying above the 200, you're going to start to see this 200-day really sort of flatten out, move higher, and that'll give it time for these indexes to catch up. So again, looking really good. And let's look at small cap growth right at the 200-day. So IWM is above it, IWO right at it. They're pretty close to each other. Up 4.82 on the week. Again, same thing. Again, starting at the flattening look. Again, the question is, are we in this type of scenario, or is this just the right side of a base that it's been making since May? We have to be open to both scenarios, and we're going to know that pretty quickly coming up. Overall, though, you have to say it looks constructive, period. Let's go to the indexes now, XLF. XLF, very strong looking, again, into the supply area, but a beautiful double bottom, right? There's a good chance it's making a beautiful double bottom. Again, is it extended? Absolutely. So a little pullback would be fine next week, and then a pop, right? You're starting at this flattening 200-day, which is a beautiful thing. And 50 is now rising. The area that had a hold held, as constructive as can be. Again, a pullback early next week makes sense. Right to the 200-day would be beautiful, and then let the 200-day hold it, and then move higher and pop out. That would be a very strong move for XLF. SMH, maybe the strongest of, the most important, I should say, of the sectors, was up 15% last week. That is very impressive. Right to the trend line, very extended. Again, I would expect it to pull back some next week, and then hopefully the breakout. But super, super strong, great volume coming in. We're starting to get the flattening 50-day. When we go back 50 days, let's just see what that looks like. That's roughly 50 days is right around here, roughly this area right there. I may be off by a day, but it doesn't matter. What's important is that over the next week, we're going to take care of these, this data, and then you're going to get this flattening to rising 50-day. You're going to get a 200-day that's going to be starting to hopefully flatten out a little bit. And then maybe a breakout in a week or two of this SMH, but very, very strong look. It's hard to be bearish with SMH up 15% in a week, right? I mean, 10% in a day on gigantic volume. That's a take notice day, right? That's something that's really important. Let's see how transports did. So transports on the week were up 7.4%. Again, below the 200-day, but very, very strong looking chart. Again, it has room to the upside, at least to the 200-day, but it is extended. So again, it may tag it, may come back, may chop around a little bit. But overall, 50 days now flattening, trying to start to rise. Again, very strong bottoming action in the chart. So transports are doing what they're supposed to do. And then let's look at housing. Again, housing is doing great, right? I mean, not great, but doing what it's supposed to do, up 12% on the week. Very, very strong. If the economy is going to fall apart, do you think housing would be up 12%? Yeah, I don't think so. It's above the 200-day now. And going back 200 days, it's right around there. Again, has some work to do to get to flatten out. But over the next few weeks, if price can get above this area, that'd be really strong. Again, is extended? Absolutely. Pullback, maybe letting the 50-day, the 200-day hold, and then a breakout. That would be the most bullish scenario. Maybe it goes a little bit higher, then comes back and does that, something like that, but the subsectors, we're talking about the XLF financials, talking about the semiconductors, talking about the transports, we're talking about the home builders. They are really looking good. Some of them already above their 200-day. All of them has really strong moves. So definitely take notice. Everything is looking really good there. Let's see what the VIX is doing. Let's just get these off because I don't like them. There we go. So VIX continues lower. We've been talking about how the VIX has been saying that volatility is going to decrease, and we're going to start to see, bullish price action. We've been talking about this for weeks. If you've been watching my videos, we've talked about the VIX coming down, even though the markets don't look great. The VIX was coming down. That was important. That was giving us a ton of information. A lot of people say, "Oh, you can't use the VIX anymore." Well, I think that it told us that things were going to be bullish again. And right now it's holding true. So VIX looks great. Bond market was closed on Friday for Veterans Day. So this is through Thursday's data. I believe it was closed yesterday. It should have been closed. Anyway, right now there's no expansion in credit spreads. Everything looks really good there. When we look at the 10-year yield, 10-year yield came back. I'm gonna go to bars real fast. You can see how this bar, Friday was closed for the 10-year. So the question now is this a retest? Going to the weekly chart. Is this a retest of this area and we're going to get to that 5% level? Or is this the beginning of, some kind of little double top and we're going to come back down to 3%? So the question is, are we going to 5 or are we going to 3? Obviously we don't know the answer to that, but we do know we made a lower high and we did break this area. So, we may go to 3.5, and then that would obviously be very, very constructive. And looking at the dollar, DXY, I'm going to look at DXY. This is falling apart all week long. We made lower highs and then kaboom, right? So this has room down to probably 104, 105 to 104 to 105, room lower. That again is going to be very constructive for stocks. If we have a falling dollar, stocks will probably be going higher in that scenario. So that's very, very constructive. And then looking at the put call ratio, getting towards that overly bullish, but not quite there. It's it's been here before. And we've seen snapbacks in this general area. So don't be surprised if, again, things got a little extended last week. If we see a snapback, that would be fine, right? Actually, the snapback is what we're looking for. And we'll go over that in 1 second. Let's just look at breadth right now. Breadth is up to 71% above the 50-day moving average. Love to see that. Let's just extend this line. That's 80% is where the bottom is. So there's that. So we're getting a strong breadth move. That looks really good. Let's look at the above the 200-day. 44% now are above the 200-day. That's what this one is. Percent stocks above the 200-day moving average. So again, things are looking really good breadth-wise. What's not looking good though? Bitcoin. It has its own issues, and I'm not sure if it's going to decouple from the market or not. We'll find out. It's been a decent risk appetite indicator, but now it has its own issues, so not looking good at all. I think it's got that $12,000-$13,000 magnet that's coming up real soon for Bitcoin. All right, so overall, let's talk about the final thoughts. Markets are looking good. I think that we can see maybe a pullback into the moving averages. When you look at the 23-day, you look at the 9-day, you look at the 50-day, and you look at the 200-day, you see it tells a pretty good story. Maybe a pullback into the 50-day, let these shorter term moving averages catch up to the 50-day, and then potentially there's going to be a lot of opportunities at this point. Okay. So I'm definitely looking for things on the long side going into next week. There's really no reason not to. I won't want to buy Monday morning first thing. I want to see a pullback first, right? I want to see a pullback and then get good entries. I think we're definitely in a cautiously optimistic scenario right now. It's still a counter trend rally into a longer term downtrend is on the cues, because that's what it is. But we have to be open to that. This is the start of a bottoming, and it's going to start to make the right side of a base over here. On the SPX, again, SPX looks a little bit more constructive, but really the mid caps. I mean, that's where that's the playground right now. That's the most constructive chart with a flattening 200-day. Pull back into the 200-day. What would that be? Yeah, we'd love to see about 2% pullback at some point, between Monday and Tuesday, maybe, and then get involved in some of these mid-cap names that are looking super strong. Okay. So hope this helped you. Hope that that you guys are ready to be a little bit more on the bullish side this week. Again, not Monday morning. Wait for that pullback, get the strong entries. Tomorrow I'll be doing a stocks to watch video with the freshest charts I could find, with maybe the best setups I could find out there. The best scenarios too that we can find. So appreciate that. On Twitter at AlphaCharts365. Like and subscribe to this video. It helps me. I love to see those numbers go up. It keeps me doing these videos and keeps me engaged. So Thank you all very much. Hope you all have a great day.